Here's another episode of Patrick's Parabox. Super fun little puzzle game. Be sure to check out the playlist if you missed any content. So we have finished the intro level, and we are now at Enter. We can come in here. There's information. Undo, redo, and reset are useful tools. Don't be afraid to use them often. It can be helpful to imagine how the puzzle would look when solved and work backwards from there. Figuring out things that don't work can be helpful to narrow down your options. Trying a different puzzle and coming back later can give you a fresh view if you're stuck. The puzzles are meant to be challenging. There is no expectation of solving them quickly. These are some general puzzle solving tips that I find useful. You can also access these tips at any time in the menu under Extras-Tips. That might have been useful to read first. Oops. Start into these levels. So immediately we see that we're going to need to push blocks through this little one-tile gap to get them down to the bottom. But if we don't use both blocks, it's stuck against the wall, so we're going to instead embed our little blue block inside the orange one. And again, we have to get through a one-tile gap. Not that difficult. The problem is... I already got myself stuck. The problem is going to be getting the block off of that one-tile gap. And how to get past it is going to be to use the other block that we can nest it inside, come back out, and we are complete. Alright, this is where it gets fun. We need to get 4 blocks into position. It doesn't matter which block goes in most of the positions except for this left one here. We need to be able to jump back in. So, nesting our green block against that wall. This is where the inception begins. So, what we'll do is we'll take advantage of the fact that we can nest inside another and nest inside another. We need to push the green block into one of the yellow blocks, and then we can sneak into our own green block. Alright, challenge level. Oh! We're going to return to the hub. We hopped in the wrong one. We can carry on, or we can come on our little adventure. So we need to have one block here, as you can see. One block up top. And us down at the floor. So I'm going to start by pushing that into the yellow block so that we can move it up off of this bottom wall. Then we will push it up all the way to the top and hop back into our home. That's a red challenge puzzle. Steam has just informed me. Alright, so we've got block here, block inside the yellow, and us get down here at the end. So what we're going to potentially need to do is take advantage of the fact that we can use this blue block to push that blue block in further, and we can move it out of the way to move the orange block down, and we can move back into position. Alright, this next one. We've got our first maze in here, which is going to allow for some fun shenanigans. What we'll need to do is we need to nest that little blue block into the yellow block, which means we have to push it up against a surface, but we also need to get it back down, the yellow block, orange block back down, to get into one of these two positions. So let's take advantage of this green block being a cool shape. We'll move it into position to start. We're going to move this yellow one in to the green block, which has better surfaces that we can push back off of. So we'll nest the blue block in, push it back off of that edge so we can get above it, get it back out. Move it into position and come join our little perfectly matched set of eyes. Now that we've got that level, let's do some challenge levels. All right. Another challenge level. We need to get this blue block up into that top corner, or this orange block. Unlikely we can get the orange block there, but we have a couple options. So first thing I want to test out is if I go to push these two together, instead of pushing the blue into the orange, can I push the orange into the blue? And I can. Perfect. So we're going to use that orange vessel to be able to push the blue one into place and then come back out into our home. Next challenge level. This is interesting. We're going to need to sneak back out to get up into position after getting something here. So let's start with, I think the yellow one has to go here. In order to get the yellow block there, we're going to need to get behind it, which means we'll have to get into this space to push it back out. Looks like the only way we can do that is butt it up against the blues, sneak in, and then hop back out. And now we can move it up into position and sneak out the other side. All right, another one of those challenging puzzles. We need to get everything into position, and then afterwards we can step back out into our position. So what we could do is we can get, say, 3 of 4 into place. Not quite, but close. And what we might want to do then, for example, is we'll use the yellow one. We will hop in it from the bottom, for example, and then push the blue block out to the right, which means before we do anything else, we need to nest a blue block into it, but still be able to move it. And how do we want to do this? Might be easier to actually come in from the bottom here. All right, do this slightly differently. So what instead we'll do is goof. That's what we'll do. Almost there. We just need to do that over one. All right, trying this once more. I'm going to leave that blooper in. It's been a while since I've done these puzzles. All right, so this is generally what we want it to look like. There we go, that's how we're doing it. We don't actually need to push the block out. We just need the 3 in so that we can sneak back into position after we've got it in place. That makes more sense. That saves us a block. Continuing on, now we've got some fun. We are into this block and there's a fair amount of space that we can move into. We can step in, we're now in a tinier block. And we can see a super tiny block in here that we need to somehow get out. So, you notice once we push it out here, we can keep going so we have a chance. So we need to come in here to come and get that block. Push it down to the bottom. Sneak in it. Oh, there's another block in here. That works. Keep pushing it out. So for this one, this is super fun. You can see a block in the center that looks vaguely like the block we are standing in. And if you see, I hop move out to the left, out that side, I hop out of the block. So this is where the recursion begins. So I'm going to move that bottom or that block over, and you can see if you look at out the bottom of the focused blue block, it's against a wall right now. I can't come out, but if I push it one more, you can see that there's now space below. So I'm going to hop out, push this back up towards where I'm going, hop back in, and you can see the focus is, I can either watch the tiny little block or I can watch the big block that's in focus and see that I'm hopping in and out. So the block is nested inside itself. All I need to do is push this block up into position, but then of course I'm stuck and can't get back out, so I'm going to sneak out here, push it one extra, come and jump in that side so I can snake around, push it back into position, and then head where I'm going. So again, if I wanted to, I could push this yellow block out to the left, and it pushes that out of the blue block. So instead, I'm going to push my blue block down to the bottom, and I can push my yellow block out all the way to the edge, hop back in, and head up to my my home. So again, similar idea. I can push the block until I'm right next to my target. I can push my target out, and I can keep pushing the block down so that I can exit out at my target. So another fun one, I need to get my block, this one here, to position at the bottom and then get back into my home. So that's going to involve figuring out a way to push it down, which I can't currently do. So I'm going to push it up to this top wall, and then you can see I can either push it down out of that square or from here. If I push it all the way over to the left wall, though, I'm stuck. So instead I'm going to push it over to the right so I have space. I'm going to sneak out my little hole, pop it back down, and now I can get back to pushing it into position. Here, you'll see though I still need to get to the right of it, so I will push it over and then I will do my loop-de-loop to get around and behind it. So hop out of the top, get around to the side and move it. Alright, we did 12 of 12 and we've got 2 challenge levels left. So this first one, I need to get a block down here and I need to get up here. What is going to be challenging is the fact that this yellow block is currently up the top. So to get it off of the top, I'm going to push it in the side though. There we go. So I can move it in. I can keep going. And then my choices are either push it down, which is going to get it stuck in the corner. I can push it back out, which is entirely an option, but then that gets me back to the same place where I just was. Or I can come up with something else. So I'm going to likely need to come in from the bottom at the end of the day to get into position. I'm going to come in the bottom here for a moment to show you this. But now that I have that off of the edge, I can come in and push this into the bottom. So if I come back in the side, I can come down. I have enough room to sneak around it. I can push it up, come around the long way, and into position. One more level to go. Alright, so I need to get the yellow one and the blue one into these positions and then hop out. So very simply, I could, just put that there, ready to go. However, if I push this yellow block in, I can't get it back out. So instead, I'm going to look at if I can push it down out of the way. Push my blue one in instead. And then now I can get into that chamber to the right by dipping around and coming out of the blue one and starting to push. I went the long way there. Push the blocks back into place. And that is all of this level complete.